Arsenal are grinding their way to what could be one of the most hard-fought Premier League titles in recent memory. This is not the free-flowing, dominant Arsenal that many expected to see. This is something different, something tougher. And right now, with a 6-point cushion at the summit and Manchester City struggling to keep pace, it might just be exactly what Mikel Arteta needs. But here is the reality that cannot be ignored. The performances have not always been convincing. The attacking play has not been scintillating. There have been moments where Arsenal have looked blunt, predictable and far from their best. Yet they keep winning. They keep finding ways to take 3 points. And as they prepare to face Brentford at the GTech Community Stadium on Thursday night at 8 p.m, live on TNT Sports, the question is no longer whether Arsenal can play beautiful football. The question is whether they can sustain this grind for another 14 weeks. Let me be clear about what is happening here. Since Arsenal beat Brentford 2-0 back in December, they have opened up what can only be described as a sizable lead at the top of the Premier League table. This is significant because Arsenal have not won the league title in over 20 years. The weight of that drought sits heavily on this squad. Every drop point feels magnified. Every unconvincing performance gets scrutinised. And yet, here they are, still on top, still in control. The problem, or perhaps the uncomfortable truth, is that Arsenal are not playing their best football in the Premier League. They are saving their more expansive attacking displays for the Champions League and the Carabao Cup. In the league, it has been a different story. Yes, there have been glimpses. The 4-1 victory over Aston Villa was impressive. The 4-0 thrashing of Leeds was dominant, but too many of the other games have felt like a slog. Arsenal are winning, but they are winning ugly. If you want deeper analysis on stories like this, if you want to understand what is really happening behind the results and the league table, hit that subscribe button right now, because what we are watching with Arsenal is not just about 3 points every week. It is about a psychological battle. It is about a team learning to win when they are not at their best. And that is the kind of insight you need if you want to truly understand modern football. Now, let me take you back to a moment that could have derailed everything. Arsenal went 3 games without a win in the league. 3 games for a team trying to end a 2-decade title drought, for a fan base that has watched their team finish second for 3 consecutive seasons. That kind of run awakens deep-seated fears. And those fears are specific. Arsenal fans were starting to worry that their team was too blunt in attack. That old anxiety came flooding back. The concern that without a clinical striker, without that killer instinct in front of goal, they would fall short once again. This is where Viktor Gyökeres enters the conversation. And this is where the story gets really interesting. Gyokeres arrived at Arsenal from Sporting CP, and the expectation was clear. This was the striker Arsenal had been crying out for. This was the man who was going to solve their goal-scoring problems. But the start to his Arsenal career has been anything but straightforward. He did not have a pre-season. He picked up an injury partway through his adaptation period, and for a while he simply did not look like the player who had been so devastating in Portugal. During those 3 games without a win, the doubts intensified. People were asking whether Arsenal had made a mistake, whether Gyökeres was the right fit, whether he could handle the pressure of leading the line for a team chasing the title. The bluntness in attack that had plagued Arsenal in previous seasons seemed to be rearing its head again. And if that trend had continued, if Arsenal had failed to rediscover their cutting edge, the entire season could have unravelled. But here is what has changed. Here is why Thursday night against Brentford matters more than just another 3 points. Gyokeres is finding form, real form, the kind of form that suggests he is finally adapting to English football, finally understanding what Arteta wants from him, finally showing why Arsenal paid the money to bring him to North London. Before the Carabao Cup semi-final win against Chelsea, he had 6 goal contributions in his previous 6 games across all competitions. That is not world-class yet, but it is progress, it is momentum, and the numbers tell a compelling story. Gyökeres now has more goal contributions than any Premier League player in all competitions so far in 2026. 8 contributions. 6 goals, 2 assists. He has gone from 2 goals in 13 games at the end of last year to being the most productive player in the league in the first 6 weeks of this year. That is not a small turnaround. That is a player finding his rhythm at exactly the right moment. Here is why this matters for Arsenal's title challenge. Gyökeres is on track for 15 to 20 goals this season. That might not sound like elite numbers compared to the top strikers in Europe, but for Arsenal, it is exactly what they need. They do not need him to score 40 goals. They need him to be reliable. They need him to make a difference in the kind of games where Arsenal have historically struggled. Games like Brentford away on a Thursday night, games where the opposition will sit deep, make it difficult and force Arsenal to find a way through. This is the kind of fixture Gyökeres was signed for. Not the big glamour-ties, not the matches where Arsenal are expected to dominate, but the awkward, physical, challenging games against teams who know exactly how to frustrate them. Brentford are excellent at set pieces. They are dangerous at home. They have been on a fantastic run of form themselves. And this is not a game Arsenal can expect to win just by showing up. They will need their striker to deliver. And here is another factor that could prove decisive. Kai Havertz looks set to be fit for the Brentford game. Havertz has barely featured this season, but when he plays, Arsenal are a significantly better team. The partnership between Havertz and Gyökeres at the top end of the pitch has started to develop into something quite effective. Havertz brings movement, intelligence and an ability to link play. Gyökeres provides the focal point, the physical presence, the goal threat. Together, they give Arsenal a dimension they have lacked for years. But let me bring this back to the tactical reality of what Arsenal are doing under Arteta. They set up in a classic 4-3-3, which has been Arteta's preferred system for the past few seasons. But this season, there has been a subtle shift. Arsenal are using more of a double pivot in midfield. It still looks like a 4-3-3 on paper, but in practice, it transforms into a 4-2-3-1. Martin Zubimendi and Declan Rice sit as a traditional midfield pairing. One goes forward, one holds. It gives Arsenal more control, more defensive solidity, but it also means they are less adventurous going forward. That is the trade-off Arteta has made this season. He has prioritised control over creativity. He has chosen defensive stability over attacking flair. And while that might not make for the most entertaining football, it is proving effective. Arsenal are winning games they might have drawn or lost in previous seasons. They are grinding out results when their performance levels drop. They are learning how to be a team that wins titles, not just a team that plays attractive football. The centre-forward role in this system is crucial. Gyokeres is not as mobile as some strikers. He does not drop deep constantly or drift wide looking for the ball. He stays central, he acts as a fixed point, and that is exactly what Arsenal need. They have world-class wingers. Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli can create chances from wide areas. What they need is someone in the middle who will be there when the ball comes in, someone who will attack crosses, someone who will hold the ball up and bring others into play. Gyokeres is starting to fulfil that role. Then there is the set-piece threat. Arsenal have always been dangerous from set pieces under Arteta, and this season is no different. They will be looking to exploit that against Brentford. But here is the interesting tactical battle. Brentford are also excellent at set pieces, both attacking and defending them. This is going to be a genuine tactical chess match in that specific phase of the game. Whoever wins the set-piece battle could very well win the match. Now, let me address the broader narrative that is building around this Arsenal team. There is a media obsession with how Arsenal play, with whether they are entertaining enough, with whether they are too defensive, too pragmatic, too focused on grinding out results rather than playing the kind of football that wins plaudits. This narrative is being pushed hard. Paul Scholes has called Arsenal the worst team to win the Premier League. Chris Sutton, while predicting Arsenal to win the title, likened Manchester City to beauty and Arsenal to the beast. Here is the problem with that narrative. It is not backed up by the facts. No team in the Premier League has generated more open play expected goals than Arsenal this season. Let me repeat that. Arsenal are creating the most high-quality chances from open play of any team in the league. They are not a defensive, negative team. They are not grinding out 1-0 wins by parking the bus. They are creating chances. They are dominating games, but they are doing it in a controlled, disciplined way that does not always look spectacular. The criticism Arsenal are facing is the criticism that all successful teams face. When you are winning, when you are top of the table, when you are building a lead, people will find ways to diminish your achievements. They will say you are lucky. They will say you are boring. They will say you do not deserve to be where you are. But the reality is simple. Arsenal have 17 wins from 25 games, 56 points, a 6-point lead at the top of the table. Those are facts. Those are results that cannot be argued with. And here is what makes this even more remarkable. Arsenal are doing this while not playing at their absolute best. They are leaving room for improvement. They are showing that they can win games in multiple ways. They can blow teams away when they are on form, like they did against Villa and Leeds. They can also dig in and win tight games when the performance is not there. That versatility, that ability to win in different ways is the hallmark of champions. But let me be honest about the challenge that lies ahead. Brentford away is exactly the kind of game that could trip Arsenal up. Brentford are well organised, they are physically strong, they are excellent in transition, and they have proven throughout this season that they are very difficult to beat at home. Keith Andrews has done an excellent job with them. They will not make this easy for Arsenal. Chris Sutton has made a very specific prediction about this game. He is backing Arsenal to win 2-0, but he expects it to be far from entertaining. He has said that Arsenal will find a way to score, possibly through a deflected goal, and that their sheer power will allow them to run through anything Brentford throw at them. That is an interesting take. It suggests that even those predicting an Arsenal win do not expect it to be comfortable or convincing. And that brings us back to the central theme of Arsenal's season. This is not about pretty football. This is not about style points. This is about results. This is about finding ways to win when the going gets tough. And if Arsenal can go to Brentford on Thursday night in difficult circumstances against a dangerous opponent and come away with 3 points, it will send a message, not just to Manchester City, who are trailing by 6 points and looking increasingly unlikely to catch up, but to themselves. Because here is what Arsenal are really fighting against. They are fighting against their own history. 3 consecutive seasons of finishing second, 3 years of getting so close but not quite close enough. 3 title races where they had the potential but could not deliver when it mattered most. The psychological weight of that failure is enormous. Every game now is a chance to prove that this season is different, that this team has learned from those disappointments, that they have developed the mental strength to get over the line. The squad depth that Arsenal have built is a huge part of this. It gets spoken about constantly, and for good reason. Arsenal are not relying on just 11 players. They have options across the pitch. They can rotate without significantly weakening the team. They can cope with injuries, suspensions and fatigue. That depth is what allows them to compete on multiple fronts. The quadruple is genuinely still a possibility. The Premier League, the FA Cup, the Champions League and the Carabao Cup, all 4 competitions are still alive for Arsenal. When Arteta was asked about the possibility of winning a treble, his response was classic. 1 game at a time, not getting ahead of themselves. Focusing on the process rather than the outcome, that is the right approach from a management perspective. But internally, there is a growing belief that something special could happen this season. The thought process from Arteta is clear. There is no point thinking about winning trophies. You have to go and do it. You have to earn it on the pitch. That has been Arsenal's issue for years. They have always been a team with potential, a team that could do things. But potential means nothing without execution. And this season, Arsenal are executing. They are converting that potential into points. They are turning promising positions into tangible leads. They are doing what they have failed to do for the past 3 years. But Thursday night is another test, another chance to prove that this is real, another opportunity to show that they can handle the pressure, the expectation, the scrutiny. Brentford will not roll over. They will fight for every ball. They will make Arsenal work for every inch of the pitch. And if Arsenal can come through that test, if they can secure their 18th win of the season, they will be 1 step closer to ending that agonising title drought. Gyokeres will be the key. He is the player Brentford need to watch most closely. He is the one finding form at exactly the right time. He is the one who can make the difference in tight games. If he can continue this run of goal contributions, if he can keep building momentum, he will be central to everything Arsenal achieve this season. 8 goal contributions in 2026 so far. More than any other Premier League player in all competitions. That is the kind of form that wins titles. And let me emphasise this point because it is crucial. Gyokeres had a difficult start, 2 goals in 13 games at the end of last year. That is not good enough for a striker at a top club. But instead of crumbling under the pressure, instead of becoming a scapegoat, he has responded. He has worked through the difficulties. He has adapted to the demands of English football. He has found a way to contribute. That resilience, that ability to overcome adversity is exactly what Arsenal need in their striker. The partnership with Havertz is also developing nicely. Havertz makes Arsenal so much better as a team. His presence changes the dynamics of their attack. He creates space for others. He links the midfield and the forward line. He provides an extra body in the box. When both Havertz and Gyokeres are fit and playing together, Arsenal look significantly more dangerous. That is not a coincidence. That is good coaching and smart recruitment coming together. The tactical setup against Brentford will be fascinating to watch. Arsenal will line up in their usual shape, but the execution will depend on how Brentford set up to stop them. If Brentford sit deep and compact, Arsenal will need patience. They will need to move the ball quickly, create overloads in wide areas and exploit space when it opens up. If Brentford try to press high and engage Arsenal in their own half, there will be opportunities to exploit space in behind. The set-piece battle cannot be overstated. Both teams are excellent in this phase. Both teams will have done extensive preparation. Both teams will have specific plans for how to attack and defend set pieces. It is entirely possible that the game is decided by a corner, a free kick or a throw-in deep in the attacking third. Arsenal have scored countless goals from set pieces this season. Brentford have defended them well. Something has to give. And then there is the psychological element. Arsenal know that Manchester City are watching. They know that every drop point gives City hope. They know that the narrative will shift dramatically if they stumble. The pressure is immense, but that pressure is also a privilege. It means Arsenal are in a position that 99% of football clubs would dream of. They are top of the league. They are in control of their own destiny. They have the opportunity to win the title if they just keep doing what they are doing. The criticism about their style of play is ultimately irrelevant. What matters is the points total at the end of the season. What matters is lifting the trophy in May. Nobody will care in 10 years whether Arsenal won the league, playing beautiful football or grinding out results. They will only care that Arsenal won. That is the harsh reality of elite football. Results are all that matter. Arteta understands this. He has built a team that can win in multiple ways. He has instilled a mentality of resilience and determination. He has created a squad with genuine depth and quality. And now, with 14 games remaining in the league season, with competitions still ongoing in Europe and domestically, Arsenal are in the strongest position they have been in for over 2 decades. But none of that matters if they do not beat Brentford on Thursday night. This is the next challenge. This is the next opportunity. And this is exactly the kind of game that separates contenders from champions. Champions find a way to win these games. They do not make excuses. They do not rely on luck. They impose themselves on the opposition and take the 3 points. Arsenal have shown throughout this season that they have that quality. They have proven that they can grind out results even when they are not at their best. They have demonstrated resilience, character and mental strength. Now they need to do it again, away from home against a dangerous opponent, with the eyes of the football world watching. Gyokeres will be central to that effort. His form in 2026 has been exceptional. His development as an Arsenal player has been impressive. And if he can deliver another strong performance against Brentford, if he can add to his goal contributions, he will further cement his importance to this team. The reality is simple. Arsenal are top of the Premier League because they have been the best team this season. Not the most exciting, not the most aesthetically pleasing, but the most effective, the most consistent, the most capable of winning games in difficult circumstances. And if they can maintain that standard for another 14 weeks, they will end their title drought and silence all the critics who have doubted them. Thursday night at Brentford is another step on that journey, another chance to prove that this Arsenal team is different, another opportunity to show that they have what it takes to go all the way. The stage is set, the challenge is clear, and Arsenal must deliver.